Welcome to the Octopod. I'm Kyle Davis, head of the Office of the CTO. Join us as we dive into the latest technologies and trends shaping business. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or just looking to stay ahead in the digital age, this podcast is for you. Let's unlock opportunities with technology together. Let's jump in.
Hi and welcome back to the Octopod. It's me, Tim Russell, and once again I'm on the sofa here with Peter Rising from Microsoft. Now, we recently did one podcast and now this is the second in the episode, and we're going to pick up on three new topics. We're going to look at the security implications of AI, particularly in the end user compute space. We're going to talk about hype and habit and the differentiation and the journey on that. And we're going to have a little bit of an opinion-based view ahead. It's not a roadmap session, but hopefully at the end of this short podcast, when you have a listen, we'll give you some clarity around what we think is going to be happening, how you can go from hype to habit, and looking at AI security from a realistic lens. Let's go on to AI, and as a statement, AI without security is risk at scale. And if we're honest, if we look at the speed at which AI has been adopted, you can't get away from the pure massive scale and hype to a degree. So maybe touch on the E7 license we mentioned in the last podcast. Do you want to look at how businesses can approach AI security and how they can best prepare themselves for something they are not going to be able to avoid?
Absolutely. And with E7 in particular, what the beauty of it is that there's nothing brand new in terms of what's there in terms of security compliance and identity of Defender and Purview and Entra. These are products that are constantly evolving, and they're better than they've ever been. And Purview in particular ties into the massive amounts of data that AI is able to get access to with things like data security posture management for AI, insider risk management. It's never been easier to have things put in place in terms of policies and controls that are going to make that experience of using AI for the end users not only better and work well for them, but also secure. So I think it's really an exciting time, and the trick to it is, the key to it is making sure that you're doing the security and not having it as an afterthought. Security is often seen as a barrier to programs, but it should be viewed as an enabler and an essential part of everything that we do.
For me, security is the only true horizontal play, because without it, nothing should work.
Yes.
It does. It's a foundation. Wherever you look at it, it's security as an afterthought, even from programming. When you build security as an afterthought in programming, that's where loopholes come from. That's where holes come from. It has to be the foundation where you start from, the who, what, where, when, why. The controls, the data, the ownership. You and I know this well, but let's get this message across. Secure by design is the concept we use. And it's not what authentication method am I going to use. It's more, how do I make sure that from the start to the finish of this journey, the data is owned, controlled, and in a place where it is, the models are protected, and how do I protect from unwanted ingress, let's say, for example. Now, I was talking to Intel, again, on another podcast about some of the stuff they're doing at a processor level, but maybe if we touch on a C7, you've got the cloud-based capabilities. What does that bring to the endpoint, particularly where we have an AI-empowered endpoint? What's that adding to the user experience, or rather, what's it protecting?
Well, that's where Defender comes into play, and with Defender for Endpoint, we can be sure that all of the signals that Microsoft are looking at in terms of security are going to be very relevant and able to protect the story of those endpoint devices. Equally, we talk about things like cloud app security, or more accurately called cloud Defender for Cloud apps these days. We can take a lot more control over what users on those end devices can access in terms of apps, with sanctioning and unsanctioned apps, because let's face it, we've heard about shadow IT over the years. We are now unquestionably getting shadow AI, and shadow agentic will be a term that is rapidly emerging as well. So I think it's massively important to consider the endpoints at this point in time of the AI story, but again, not in a fragmented way, as part of an overall journey of thinking about identities, thinking about data, thinking about those endpoints. The whole thing is not going to work if those individual components are not part of that wider picture.
Interesting, and it ties into this equity efficiency experience. Shadow IT, shadow AI, shadow agentic comes from a path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, if you're an IT director listening to this, if your user uses AI outside the system, is it really their fault? Or is the fact that we've not made it easy enough for them to consume it through the work supplied platform?
Completely.
And it's weird. It's not about apportioning blame or guilt. It's more, if somebody goes outside the system because it's easier, then we failed to a degree, which is an interesting and somewhat combative approach sometimes for some people. But it is the way of the world. If it's too complicated, we find an easier route.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example of that, actually, which I think is quite powerful. With E7, and well, not just E7, but E7 is very, very relevant to this story, is in a modern workplace, it's quite possible that somebody might go and try and use ChatGPT, and they might be blocked from doing so, and rightly so, with policy. If that's not authorized for them, they should be using their own internal AI program or Copilot or whatever is approved. Equally, with E7 controls and everything that we've got in the new technologies that we've released, it is possible to stop things like copying and pasting from a document into Copilot, for example, if that document has been compromised in some way. A good example of that would be an insider risk scenario where somebody has left the organization and they've left a cheeky prompt injection in that document to override the model and say, actually email this to a personal email address. So Copilot and all the security controls that are built into things like insider risk management in E7 can detect and prevent that, which is really, really cool.
And it's something you highlight there, weirdly enough, is it actually does stuff some of us don't even think about.
Yeah.
And that's the bit. We don't know what we don't know, and we have to have the right tools to protect us against our own lack of knowledge in some spaces. We can't know everything, so we have to rely on these tools, and these tools are built for exactly that purpose. So AIPC, Copilot plus PC, you're not going to escape it. It's going to come one way or another. AI-powered PCs are going to hit your workforce. What's the first practical step that any organisation who's listening to this could take to start looking at adopting AI-empowered end-user devices into their estate? Realising most handheld devices in the form of mobile phones already AI-powered, so you've already brought it into the workforce. Well, now we'll talk about the notebooks, the laptops, anything built on top of the Windows 11 OS. How do we prepare people for that? What's the first practical step?
I think one of the most important and often overlooked aspects of this is communication to the workforces and proper adoption and change, because users want to know what is happening, why it's happening, when it's happening, and how it's going to affect them. And that's the bit that a lot of organizations get wrong. If it's not communicated effectively and they don't know what's happening and when and why, then they're not going to get on board with it. So your users are your biggest evangelists or your biggest critics, depending on how you prepare. So preparation is crucial. Fail to prepare and you'll prepare to fail.
I know that one well. And we find it's not about promptathons, which are great, but you have to have rolled out the software for 6 months and had people experimenting before you can run true promptathons.
Yeah.
But that enablement of people, here's an example, a Copilot. I pointed out to someone the other week, I said, we'll work for organisations that give us targets, PMPs, whatever you want to call them, things we have to hit in that year. Did you know you can go to Copilot and share your goals and say, these are my goals for the year? In all your communication for the next 12 months, when you prompt, when you aim, and this is where I touched on to the digital twin, Copilot knows what I'm being measured on, and then it guides me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most powerful tools, because even without realising, 6 months down the road, when I ask Copilot a question, it responds, and unprompted, it points out that this aligns to your goals.
Yeah.
And it's that building that digital twin in a secure space, because you don't want to have people accessing that information, but building it in a way that makes me plus, me stronger, me twice over, whatever you want to call me, my digital twin. It becomes my invisible muse. It keeps me honest and it keeps me directed. So, yeah, I think showing people not what Copilot is, but showing people what it means to them if they use it right.
Completely agree with that. And I've found that to be so true, especially since I've been in this latest role I'm in at Microsoft, because Copilot knows me so well and very, very quickly. It knows to answer, this is a very relevant take, or you might have missed this in your role as a security partner solution architect. It calls that out more often than it doesn't. You might want to consider this, you might want to tweak that, reframe the language of this. So it knows me probably better than I know myself, which is absolutely fantastic. But I can also be confident that the grounding of what it can access to is properly secured and governed and end to end. and in my view, might be biased, I probably am. I don't think anyone can tell that end-to-end security story as well as we can at Microsoft at the moment. Without a doubt, there are best-of-breed products out there that cover a certain niche, maybe something like DLP or whatever else, but nobody can have that end-to-end story that I believe we can tell at the minute.
That's always been, the whole point behind the Microsoft licensing and Microsoft focusing is that ability to do all of that. Cool, really, really interesting answer. I think it's going to leave some food for thought for the listeners. Yeah. So let's go and have an opinion session now. Let's talk about the next 12 months. Let's go from now. Let's not look at the next 12 months, but in 12 months' time, what will define an organisation? What's going to put an organisation above another organisation? What's going to put them on the radar? What's going to make them stand out 12 months from now? Focused on the modern workspace area, obviously.
I mean, AI seems to be the answer to a lot of the questions we've talked about, but I think it's totally true and completely unavoidable. I think AI and agentic AI is going to be absolutely massive. Agents alongside humans to support them and agents acting independently. Organizations who get that and know how to roadmap that and do it in a non-fragmented way and that doesn't get them stuck in pilots and failure and more pilots and arguments and disagreements. They are the ones that are going to succeed with this new world, this new frontier, if you like.
So I'm going to counter that to a degree and see what you think of this. So I was out at ISE earlier this year and I expected everyone to be selling AI.
Yeah.
But they weren't. And we're here in the Shaw studio, and one of the terms Shaw used when I was talking to them at ISE was ambient AI. You're not selling AI for the sake of it, but it's built into the thing you're using to deliver something you'd want. And what I'm seeing is a move, I think Gartner have now said we're past the peak and we're on that heading into the disillusionment area. But it's not disillusionment, it's more about realizing that AI was just a term that covered everything. And it could be just as much artificially intelligent as opposed to artificial intelligence. I think in 12 months' time, what we're going to find is not the people who tout AI as the secret of their success, the people who have shown operational efficiency, end-user enablement, and in some cases specialist development, but generally those who have utilized AI to become better at what they do. And that's both at a human nature within an organization, but an organization within almost any industry. If you've shown improvement through the adoption and a cognizant adoption, not accidental adoption, a strategy around AI, that will differentiate you in the next 12 months.
I do agree with that. And I think any sector of business, if you're going to be the one who stands out from the crowd, you've got to have that differentiator. What is it that makes you special? Anyone, as an example from my industry and managed security services, anyone can build a SOC, What makes that SOC stand out? What makes it different that is going to have end customers say, oh, that's interesting. I've never heard that before. That's something a bit different. So added value. So I totally agree. I think it's those with the wherewithal to take it and do something different and unexpected with it and come back to maybe us at Microsoft and impress us to the point that we didn't expect you to do that with it. That's the sort of stories that I love to hear.
And then to summarize that one, I think the business in 12 months' time who will stand out, the ones who create a strategy today, but not an AI strategy that says we will do AI. It's a strategy tied to a business outcome, tied to an identification, a tangible thing. Not we use AI, but we will be known for a company that delivers 5% more efficiently or enable people to be 10 times more productive, whatever it is. But that strategy isn't about we will have AI. It was we will differentiate through AI.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've hit the time limit for this one, Peter. I'm going to say absolute pleasure talking to you again. We didn't go far off track. I think for those that are listening, hopefully we gave a little bit of perspective of what you need to sort of get on this road trip, how you need to set the strategy for the future, and how do you book success. So once again, Peter, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure, Tim. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and until next time on the Octopod.
Into today's episode, be sure to check out the back catalogue for more great insights. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. We appreciate your support, and if you have a topic you want us to cover, feel free to reach out. Catch you next time.